from Stanton House. Welcome to Cyber Go-to-Market Girl Talk, the go-to podcast for women in cyber. During this series, we will be exploring the background of female go-to-market leaders in cybersecurity vendors. And I'm delighted and honoured to be joined on this series by 7 successful females to hear about how they got to where they are today and the challenges they overcame in doing so. I hope you enjoy the series, and if you would like the opportunity to feature on future seasons, please do get in touch. Thanks for listening. I look forward to sharing each episode with you bi-weekly. And I'm really delighted to be joined by my first guest, Lital Dotan. She is the Chief Marketing Officer at Hunters, an Israeli cybersecurity startup that was founded in 2018. This company's built a SOC platform that essentially empowers security teams to automatically identify and respond to incidents that matter across the entire attack surface, more reliably than SIMs, ultimately reducing customers' overall security risk. So, Lital, a huge welcome, and thank you so much as well for being my first guest.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
I'm so excited to have you here. And I think I'd love in the first instance just to hand over to you, obviously, to tell me a little bit about your career journey. I know that you obviously started originally life in Israel, and you started your marketing career in Israel, and you eventually moved over, took on the expat life to the US. But tell us about that and when you joined your first cyber vendor as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Well, I have started my career like many Israelis in cybersecurity in the military in Israel in the Unit 8200, which is the Israeli equivalent to the NSA. Back at the time, and now I'm aging myself, it wasn't even called cyber. So I didn't know what I'm doing was cyber, but now it is officially being called cyber. At the time, it was signal intelligence or interpreting signals. I have then moved to long career in marketing, did almost a decade of different roles in marketing in consumer goods, and moved with Procter & Gamble at the time to the US. So I'm very familiar with your experience of relocating from abroad and being, new to the life of Americans, and the good, the bad, the ugly. We can talk a lot about changing a country, changing a little bit your career, because when you move, even if you're at the same job, you move to a completely new aspect of how it is. Once you move an office from one office of a company to another, things change completely. And with that move, I actually decided that I want to try and move into tech. I wanted to do like bigger shift in my life. And that brought me into cybersecurity. Since I already had some background in that, I moved into product marketing, worked with Rapid7, and then started marketing at Cybereason, grew with the company, been with them since the beginning till the company really grew into becoming multinational, big player in the endpoint market. And ever since, I've been with startups in cybersecurity. And now this is my 3rd year at Hunters. I lead marketing. We're growing. Started when the company was really early stage, Series A. We raised since then a Series B, a Series C. And we have people around the world. I have a team of marketeers in Europe, in Israel, and across 5 states in the US. So really exciting times. These numbers of having still such little representation of female in cybersecurity is something that I care about a lot. And if there is something that we can do to help women get into cyber, I want to help. So let's think about how we're going to do that.
Well, thank you for giving us that introduction to your background. It's so great to hear that the journey that you've made, and there's a couple of things there that I want to touch upon. And obviously, the first reference is to, we have a shared kind of common backstory in that we're both expats in the US, and let's just for 1 second let's remember that it is so hard to make friends as an adult. It's so hard to it's a whirlwind. You have to remember, I don't know, everything new. Where do you go shopping? Where do you get your food from? It's a lot. And then that in conjunction with as well, just generally trying to learn a new role in a new office and in everything. It's really hard. So kudos to you, because I know exactly what you would have went through. I'm going through it now. I'm my 4th month in Chicago, and I'm still learning a lot about myself and about what I want to do and so forth, and the people around me. So yeah, that's it's incredibly brave thing to do, for sure.
I think the amazing thing is that since the pandemic, since so many people actually moved, changed, realized that they can go and explore the world while working remotely, this is increasingly becoming everyone's problem, right? We're kind of adjusting to new places, getting to know new people, working from different offices remotely. So I think it makes us better people. And if you think about it, it's so hard, but also it is so fitting into today's world when reality is changing all the time. And I think I would love companies to actually look for those people that are so agile that they moved companies, they moved locations. It just tells about your ability to first be courageous in your life, go and do something that is not within your comfort zone, because hell, we all know that going through the Chicago or the Boston winter is not something that is in anyone's comfort zone. So I think to anyone that is going through that, I would say take it easy. Find somebody that you can, either in your office, somebody that is from wherever you're coming from, that can commiserate with you about the weather or whatever is painful. Yes, I think we all kind of need to reach out. That's what helped me go through transitions in my life in general, and specifically relocation. Finding people within my community that I can trust, that I can tell, be vulnerable, say when things are tough. I think we all need it. And I hope that everyone on the other side appreciate that somebody that is actually taking upon such a leap it tells about the character. So kudos for you for going and doing it.
Thank you. No, and I guess we'll get into it in a little bit, but I guess some of those characteristics that you've mentioned there about being agile, but and to kind of add further to it, I think being resilient and being tenacious, I would imagine those characteristics are probably also what supported you as you navigated your career in cyber, and also to the C-suite level as well, if I'm correct in thinking.
Absolutely. I think, and it is important for female even more to be courageous and be able to take a leap. I think it is this thing about let's embrace change. Change is inevitable, and change that can actually give us an opportunity to uplift ourselves or move to a different role, move to a different industry. It's all scary because you don't have all the things that you can rely on. I know what I'm doing. I have the connections in the industry. I have when I moved to cyber, I was like, I don't even know those acronyms. There's so many acronyms. There's so many terms that you need to learn. Well, guess what? You can learn. There is this wonderful thing called the internet and YouTube, and all you need to do is just find your resource. So just understanding that, yes, it's hard. Yes, it's going to put you in places that you're not comfortable, but also knowing that it is possible. People are doing those changes every day and they're landing on a better end in a better place. I think it's scary, but there's so many people that can help. There's so many resources that can help. So yes, I did this leap from consumer goods marketing into cybersecurity. Part of it is thanks to my dear husband that supported me through this move. He has been forever in cybersecurity. At the time, he worked at RSA, later at Cisco. Now he is working in a startup. And he was the one that said, you need to do this change. There is one industry that is always going to be on the rise. It's cybersecurity. The level of interest over there is never ending. There is no plateau. It changes all the time. And you need to go there. And I was like, but I don't know anything about it. Yeah. And he told me there are all those kind of resources. You just learn. And I already had my interview set at Rapid7. And he just sent me a few reports. Go, read this, prep on that. Learn everything about vulnerability management. Learn everything. Those are all the tools that will be competing against you at Rapid7. And, you know, just having this little, you can do it, sometimes matters. So I would say, if anyone is considering a shift, a move up, a lateral move, a move to a new job, a new move to a new industry, same as like what I just said about going and finding allies to help you with the relocation. Find somebody that can support you through the move and can uplift and not tell you that it's not going to happen. You cannot do this. It's too hard.
So it sounds like then, but just as you were on that cusp of changing from working in a consumer goods environment and then thinking about obviously a more cyber focused trajectory in your career, you had some little seeds of self-doubt there and thought, okay, I don't know anything about cyber. I don't know the acronyms. I don't know what I'm talking about. Can I actually do this? But obviously you had, you know, in your instance, you obviously had a huge support in your husband to be able to say, hey, look, you got this, you got this. I think we need more of your husbands then. I think that might be.
Absolutely. Amen to that. We all need more of that. I think, well, we all talk, and there have been so much research about self-doubt, imposter syndrome, how much female are more prone to that. Mm-hmm. We are sometimes our worst enemies, telling ourselves, but I don't know. How can I do it? I think nobody is criticizing us the way we criticize ourselves. We all think about our looks and about our smarts and about capabilities, and we just have so much doubt. So first, let's acknowledge that all of us have it. Like, I want to say to everyone that is listening, it's not just you. I have self-doubt. I know that my daughter has self-doubt. My mom has, my sister, my friends, everyone. Men has it too. They might not acknowledge it that much. And I think we have to start by acknowledging that exists, but it's the voice in our head first. It doesn't mean that people outside us see it. People outside us may see it in a completely different way. And you'd be very lucky to find somebody like my husband that is kind of like pushing and telling me, yes, you are the better version than what you think you are. But I think we all need to be proactive and seek those people that can uplift us and help. And whether we find mentors, allies, whomever we could, I think that is the way, because once we acknowledge that we are our worst enemies, let's find somebody that is really the uplifter that can help. I don't think there is something that we cannot do if we want to do it. Seriously, I've seen so many amazing career women and women in all aspects of life doing amazing stuff. We should just tune down this self-doubt. And it's hard. Like, there is no cure for that, unfortunately.
I know, and I think that, and I definitely want to get into, imposter syndrome as well, and in a little bit as well. But you're right. Not everyone is going to, be fortunate enough to have your husband say, "Hey, look, you got this." And I think that's why these types of conversations and interactions are really, really important. The more people that keep this awareness and conversation going about promoting women in cyber and promoting women to have that seat at the leadership table is really important, because it might be that someone seeks out a conversation like this or listens to a conversation like this, and that's what helps motivates them, and that's why I think it's really, really important. I've listened to a couple of podcasts as well, by the Cyber Queens. Incredible. If you listen to it.
Literally, yes, highly recommend them.
So we need more of that, and I think that's why this is great. But going back into, I guess, then the cyber piece. So what I guess firstly is it for you? Do you feel has kept your interest then in cybersecurity? Well,
I think it's a place where there are villains, and it's always like it. The beauty of cybersecurity basically is that it's a game, right? It's you have an adversary and you have the good guys defending themselves. So there is this element that I think is really interesting. Yeah. I'm also a geek. I've been on my computer for since forever, since I was a kid. So I love technology. And I like the fact that there is the tech aspect that always keeps on evolving, because as tech in general evolves, cybersecurity needs to be baked in, needs to be built on top. So as new technologies emerge, AI comes to life. Now we care about, can you exploit ChatGPT? Like that, everything that is coming up then has a cybersecurity aspect to it. So I'm really attracted to this because it's evolving, it's changing, it's never boring. And as a marketeer, there is always a story to tell. So I've been for a short time in a few other B2B tech sectors like data. And data, for example, is really important and it's key. But it's very hard for a marketeer to sell it, because yes, you need it. Yes, it's important. Yes, it needs to be clean and organized and everything. But there is no story to tell the way you have a story to tell when you're in cyber, when things happen, the cyber attacks, the new technologies that you need to protect. So personally, I love the industry because it's like a white blank canvas that you can go and explore and sell great technologies.
Yeah, no, cyber is always evolving, and I think to your point around it, it's almost like there's the bad guys, the villains, and we're looking after people. I saw a really good piece of marketing content actually. Wiz, obviously an incredible cyber startup.
Cyber company. Yeah.
Hearing a huge amount about them. On International Women's Day, they put out a video of, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 CISOs that were having almost mini interviews with young girls about 10 or 11 in age, and basically telling them about what a CISO is. And the little girls are so enthralled, and they're like, so you're basically like a cop then for the bad guys? And they're like, well, yeah, actually. And they're like, so I can be a CISO when I'm older? And they're like, you can be whatever you want to be. And I loved the video. I thought it was very thought-provoking, really, really clever. And I think that is also something that is important, is that in the educational system, this idea that women can actually operate in, STEM, in cybersecurity, whatever it may be. That needs to be, I think, more at the forefront of our minds and in education, so that we know from a younger age, hey, I don't have to just be a boy if I like science, or I like technology, or sport, whatever it is. It's not just for the boys, it's for us as well. So
you don't even need to be in coding to be in cybersecurity. Like,
yeah.
all girls and boys are, exposed, I'm sorry, to the cyber world
Yeah.
daily. They're on TikTok and Instagram and then Snapchat, and they interact with each other and they play games. I mean, they live first and foremost on the digital world. That's like the main world. They spend more hours a day on digital platforms than outside of digital platform. There is, like, when they interact with each other, this is our first choice. They need to know that there is an important role to have digital lives, to keep them safe, with cybersecurity. And I think with the world of this generation, Gen Zs, Gen Alpha that follows, the digital natives, they grew up with this. They need to be the one that cares. Yes, like the cops of the future, digital life is the first life that we have. And unfortunately, level of fraud, the level of, cyber incidents across the board are growing because this is where life is. So I actually think that everyone, female even more, because they are so active, they like this world, they're involved, and they can understand the social consequences of interfering with the day-to-day life on cyber. So there is something there that I think actually we will have more women in the future, because you don't just need to come from coding background. I hope that more women go into coding, go into STEM, but it's not necessarily needed. You need to understand this digital space, which everybody does. You need to understand social interaction, because most of cyber threats are basically human interactions that are being exploited one way or another. So there is more than just understanding the tech.
No, and that is an important note. I think, absolutely, let's promote more women going into coding and some of the more kind of technically minded positions. But we can leverage our skill sets in so many different ways that might lean to a more creative, I guess, person if you're in marketing. I remember when I first started in recruitment, there was a couple of options in terms of the team that I would join, and one of them was to join the cybersecurity team and for recruiting. And at the time I thought, I can't do that because I have no idea about cyber. How am I going to sound speaking to C-suite level individuals in the cyber world? I won't be able to wrap my head around it. And at the time, I opted to go into the accounting and finance team and actually recruit for finance professionals. But then on my journey to obviously growing within my role and coming over to the US and cyber being a focus in Chicago in our offices here, I had to really kind of push myself on that and think, do you know what, that there's something that I can add value. And whilst I'm not directly working for a cyber company, the value I bring is bringing exceptionally talented people and connecting them with great organizations who are doing great things to secure businesses and secure people. So it's been a bit of a mind shift for me as well in my journey, originally thinking, I know absolutely nothing about cyber. I can barely work a computer on a good day. But
if you can understand concepts in finance and help recruit people to finance role, I bet you can do the same with cyber.
no, it's
Absolutely.
true. So I'm going to pivot ever so slightly then, and obviously talk about your journey to the C-suite, because I think this is also really important. So when I was originally first looking for individuals to connect with, females at the C-suite level, I was doing a project on LinkedIn, and I kid you not, for every entire page that came up of men that were at a C-suite level or in a C-suite level, position in cyber, one female would appear. Then another whole page of men, then one female. So I guess, have you faced any hurdles in your journey to the C-suite in your career?
Well, that's a good question. And I don't know if I can compare it with what would be the journey of a man, because I haven't been there. So I don't know if it's easier. I think once you understand that this is where you want to get to, you need to find your way there. And it may be sometimes serendipitous. Sometimes you have an opportunity and you move. What I found, at least for me, was that sometimes you need to go to the next level, so to move from a senior manager to a director to a VP level and then to a C-suite by just moving to the next company. Unfortunately, especially and maybe my experience was in smaller companies, it's hard, or it would take a long time. And in small companies, there are not so many opportunities for getting promoted to the next level. So once you've been a director for a while, yes, in some companies, if there is a place for that, you will be promoted to a VP. But in many cases, because if you're in a startup, relatively small company, not too many VPs roles, and the VP role is already taken. So the next thing is to look outside, and you've been X amount of time, you've been through this level, you think that you can be a department head or lead a sub-department and go become a VP. So I think one thing that I would say to anyone, not just women, men too, is that if you want to step up with the ladder of ranks and go from a manager to a director, and so be ready that if you are in a big company, you can do this change, and you need to be advocating that that's what you want to do. But if not, be ready to also step outside and go to an organization in which they will take you at the next step. It's sometimes just very hard for an organization to upgrade you, promote you, just because there is no role available. They already have a VP and there is one VP. Like, small organization cannot have more than that. So I would say it's heartbreaking, because sometimes you love the organizations that you are at, but you feel it's the time for you to take a bigger scope and grow. So there is a little bit of like, should I stay? I love the company. I love what I'm doing. Sometimes you manage a team. I love it. But yes, there are opportunities outside to step up, get promotion, maybe get higher comps. And that's something that we, not all female, we also think about, and we should think about the wealth. It's important. So I think we should be open about, yes. And it's, people do it. Maybe in the past, and you know better than me as a recruiter, looking at somebody that every 2 years, every 3 years is moving and going to another company. I think in the past it was maybe a negative sign. Today, I think it's a sign that you're driven. And yes, I mean, when you're being asked, why did you move? I moved up. Like, I got a promotion. I couldn't get a promotion inside my organization, so I went outside and I got a better salary, and now I have a better title. So I think part of getting promoted specifically is being very minded and planned around it, and grab the opportunity when it comes, even if it means that you may need to leave an organization that you like. And you know what? Sometimes once they may see that you're going, they may promote you. So that's another thing. But I think this is in general. Again, going back to this notion that I think that's another thing, and I don't know if it's true or not, but like, there is this tendency of thinking that women, we tend to, stay where we feel is most safe. We don't like to change. So I say, don't do it. Don't be complacent. Don't stay in the place that is safe and convenient just because it's safe and convenient. You'll be stuck, and that's a shame. And you have, if we think about our career, you have a potential. You have a potential of growing your experience, you have a potential of growing your influence, and you have a potential of growing your wealth. And you have to do this leap. It's not fun. It's sometimes sad, but you're not going to look back and regret it. You're not. Move forward. It's forward and up if you can. Why not? Lean in.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and you're right. I think that if on occasion it might be circumstantial, right? There is no opportunity to move into a higher position or whatever it may be, but if that is the case, or it's the case that someone else, let's say, has been selected to take on a promotion and not you, to not let that fester, to not let that take into your confidence and make you feel as though, okay, I therefore am not ready to step up, I'm not capable. Just because someone else's no doesn't mean that you can't be a yes for another opportunity. So really just kind of stretching yourself out your comfort zone and kind of taking a bit of a leap, which it's so much easier said than done. It's not something that happens overnight, but going back to your point around surrounding yourself with allyship and people who support you, and the people that are going to help you make the most productive choices in life, it's really important that not only you seek that out outwardly, but also in yourself. And yeah, it's certainly not an overnight thing, but if we're all mindful of trying even just a little bit to nudge the confidence dial up a notch, then we will get where we want to be as well.
Absolutely. And if I can add one point on that, don't be afraid to communicate it, that you want to move up. I find that sometimes, somebody has this, yes, I want to be promoted, but they don't share it. And, maybe somebody else will be given the promotion because you weren't, communicating it clearly enough that you want it, that you're, what's the worst thing? You're not going to get it. It's fine. Yes, you'll be disappointed, but that's the worst thing. So I always say, tell your manager, tell other people that you want to grow. You want your career to grow. You're here for getting to the next level. Say it. When you have one-on-ones with your manager, when you have your reviews, say it. What do I need to do to be promoted? Sometimes people will think that we're too ambitious, that we have this word starts with a B, that we want to take somebody else's role, that my boss will think that I want to take his role. No, it's insane. If they will think so, they're terrible bosses, and you may not want to work for them. The right thing is to always say, I'm ambitious. I want to grow my career. What does it take to move? What am I missing? How can I grow? I think having this mindset, then people know, yes, you're on this career track of growing, and you want to be in a company that appreciates somebody that is upfront about it. She's an A player. She's a talent. She wants to be the next VP. Let's help her go there. Let's bring her to the table. So I think there is a lot about communicating your desire, and don't be afraid. Worst thing, you'll get disappointed if they say no. You know what? It's a learning experience as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And do you think that openly, did you have this mindset earlier on in your career? And the reason I ask is because I guess, a lot of the people that may be listening to this obviously quite probably on, at that C-suite level, and they look at someone who is operating as a chief marketing officer and they think, okay, well, of course you're going to have this confidence and this way about you. You've got a title there, but obviously at one point in your career, you weren't at this level, right? You worked your way up the ranks. So did you always have this mindset earlier on in your career? And if not, at what point did you turn, and how did you kind of make that switch to say, right, okay, I have absolute confidence in getting to where I want to be?
That's a great question. I think I always had some confidence. I'll tell you a story from very early in my career. So when I got my job at P&G, I was almost straight out of school, very young, and I got a position to be the external relations manager of P&G in Israel, responsible for 4 countries, everything from regulation to PR. And I had no background in this. I had a master's in biotech. I came from a very, technical background in life sciences. They took me because of this background. But there were so many things in the job description that I didn't know a thing about it. And I shared with my parents that I got this great job with this amazing company that, all those brand names, Pantene and then Pampers and Gillette, and I'm going to be responsible for, getting them registered with the Board of Health in Israel. And if there are issues with the press, I will be dealing with it. My mom was like, how the heck are you going to do that? And I was like, for a second, that was like, I don't know, but I guess they will teach me. And if they pick me for the job, I think they can trust me for doing it. So that was like a moment that on one hand, it was true. Like I was also thinking, why did they take me? And I have to say, P&G is a very unique organization that in the philosophy, they take employees only very early in the career, and they invest a ton in training, onboarding, building them. They have a massive training plan for everyone comes in, and on the job learning and tons of coaching. And I had amazing coaching and mentorship from people abroad that helped me. So they have the ability, and not every organization have it. And we can talk about the importance of maybe starting your career in big organization that can teach you those things. And that's part, I think, of building your capabilities, is being in an organization that can invest in your learning early on. So no, I didn't come inherently with this confidence, but there is something about, yes, you can learn. Yes, it's like when you come to an organization, there is a mutual agreement that you're bringing something, but also they are bringing something. And it's up to the two of you together to make this a success. So I would say, maybe to bring the level of anxiety of everyone down, it's also up for the organization to set you up for success. It's not just on you. And if they decided that out of the tens of candidates that they interviewed in the process, they are going with you, they saw a lot in you that is a fit you're bringing in. So there is no reason, again, going back to this level of like internal voices saying, can I do it? So I think you can just ration it. And I think that's my tendency. I kind of like take my anxiety with like the rational part of it. They chose me. There is probably a good reason. So it's going to be okay. I'll work it with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and over time, it has been proven over and over again that that's the reality. So I guess throughout my career, this confidence grows. So I would tell the younger ones, you were chosen. If you're going into an internship, you were picked up from, a lot of college students to go into an internship. It's you, it's not others. So
Yeah.
go. And they know what they're doing. If you're going into a large organizations, that's for those going into large organizations. And I highly recommend it early on, not to go to a startup, to go to a bigger organization. And if I can say something, go into a place that is not remote only, especially early on in your career. You want to interact, you want to get real mentorship, you want to see how other people execute the day-to-day. Super important. Later on in your career, you can have more flexibility and you know already the way to go. Join an organization that have the infrastructure to support early stage career growth. I think it's amazing how large organizations have robust training, onboarding, evaluation, career growth path. I've been fortunate to be part of it, and I would recommend it to everyone in the earlier stages of their career.
I think that's really, really helpful for people that will be listening to this, is to know that firstly, everyone has a starting point. So no one's going to wake up and be a chief marketing officer.
No.
It doesn't happen. And mistakes happen along the way. Bad days happen along the way. Days you're going to cry. Days you're going to have an argument with someone. It's totally normal. But if you want to get yourself on the best foot, it's firstly trying to shift the mindset so that you have some of that confidence, but also being in a large organization where they have a platform for people to have a culture that is fostered all about learning, and it's a two-way street. It's not just on you. Yes, you've got to do a lot of the legwork, but this is a two-way street. And if you can kind of navigate your way in a corporate environment, take that learning, and then know that if you want to go into a cyber startup later on in your career, you're going to have a lot with regard to processes and knowledge of how things should be set up, what they should look like, and who should do what success should look like. And you can take that, and that's all of your value add, and that's stuff that you can bring. And let's not forget that, as females, we bring diversity of thought,
Absolutely.
to what is the traditional norm in these cyber companies, and at the top of the food chain, for want of a better phrase, it is traditionally a lot of men. We bring a diversity of thought, and I think that's really important for business success, for team success, and success for the security of businesses as well. You need that. So yeah, it's interesting. So I guess to wrap up then the conversation, if there was one last tiny bit of advice that you wish that you'd received in your earlier on career that you want to leave with everyone today, what would that be?
Wow. Great question. I think that the thing that's most important is to build a network, and keep in touch with everyone that worked with you along your career. You never know where you're going to meet them again, how they're going to be helpful, what areas of life they would be helpful. I've been fortunate to work, as I mentioned, different careers, get different mentors, work with different managers and peers and employees. They taught me a lot, and I have been very fortunate to use many of them along the way when I needed recommendations, when I needed references, when I needed an advice if I should go to work in a certain company, if a certain boss would be a good fit. Um, I think that it's really, really important. And I think this thing, we talked a lot about having allies, about having support. Keep in touch with them, nurture this relationship. If somebody helped you get a job, make sure you send them a nice bouquet of flowers, nice wine, thank them, give it the courtesy back. I think that's like something that I learned myself. I learned how important it is. I highly appreciate when people come back to me and ask me for advice or ask for references. I think that's a very, very important thing to keep along the way. At the end of the day, career is like a mosaic of all the people that we've been with and work with. Work is like, it's a lot of tedious work that we're doing and all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, I always say, I say to my team, I say to other people, like, company, the product, it comes, it goes. It's the people it's the team that you work with. And I've been fortunate to have a few of my team members work with me now in several different companies. And I love it that we can work together and sometimes move to the next place. It's about the team. It's about your colleagues. It's about everything that you create. Tech comes and goes. Tech, becomes obsolete at a certain moment in time. It's the people that you work with that makes the difference. So I would say, and early in my career, I think I did not realize how important it is. The more I kind of like move, I understand how much you need to nourish it, be intentional about it, keep those relationships. Text the person that was working with you 2 companies ago and you just saw on LinkedIn they got a new job. Don't just put the congratulations, the automatic thing that goes on LinkedIn. Like, give them a text. Ask really how it's going and are they happy. I think this is what makes a difference and will help you a lot. I promise. This is like the gift that keeps on giving. Network. It's like you will never know when you need it and when it would become helpful. So cherish it.
Exactly. I think that is a great note to finish up on. Networking is key. It's really important. You don't know who you're going to come across in the future. I think it's really important to seek that networking in people from all walks of life, so you can always continue to be embracing new thoughts, embracing new challenges, ideas and ways of working and being. And it sounds like I might need to go back through my whole entire candidate list of everyone I've helped got a job and ask for a bouquet of flowers now.
I'm sure all of them have a lot of new jobs. I also remind myself, like, it's so easy to forget about that. Life is like we're so busy. There's so much things to do. So Let's get an hour a week of like getting back in touch with people.
I know. Well, look, thank you so much for being my first guest. You've been amazing, and it's been such an insightful and incredible conversation. And
Thank you for having me.
It's going to help so many people. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode. I hope that you found it inspiring and insightful. I will be releasing each episode of this series on a bi-weekly basis, so if you've enjoyed what you've heard, please keep your eyes peeled for the next release. I've loved having you here today and look forward to having you on the next one.